I'm going to post a picture of both of my keyboards.
Also,
Alright.
it's Core Staircase 60.
So
or
we-
K65 for the record.
We are back.
Which one is it though, Drag?
It's a K65.
Yeah, but which one is it?
So
What do
for
you mean?
people
Which
watching,
There's 3 versions.
we're
of
talking
that
about keyboards
keyboard.
right now.
Tom about keyboards.
Yeah.
If you take off one of your keycaps and send me a picture of it, I might be able to tell you.
No, I'm not. Like I'm
This-
not. Okay, so
Send
one of the
nudes.
versions
This
is
is a
specifically
Computer Peripheral Podcast.
Yeah, this is our podcast sponsored
Also-
by MeUndies.
Welcome to the Bait and Switch.
What does the halfling?
As long as they're cherry switches.
I said in the thing that I think that's good enough. I don't remember. I think he might have had blonde or brown hair, but it's okay. Let me. Well, other than that, I kind of imagined him as a character like that, right? Like the one.
Like that's actually even worse.
But I chose
Hold on,
that
I
one because
can-
it has a great sword.
Hold on. Let
I
me
hate how
find it.
bright your keyboards are.
Let me
so
find.
much.
No,
Mine-
no, so like they look bright, but they aren't actually bright.
My keyboard has no lights.
Oh, you just
Mine
switched
has
which
lights,
channel you're
but I
posting
have
in.
them off.
Yeah, correct.
I don't actually have his hair color and stuff. I guess I think I had assumed he had like brown hair, or something.
I also have this image that I could make a circle. I say as it loads.
Oh
Yeah,
my
no,
God.
I guess-
No,
I
he
just-
doesn't have a beard like that. He's
I'm pretty sure it's a dwarf.
I'll say I probably
Really
never want to
tight.
go back to using a keyboard without macro keys, just because they're really handy
yeah.
for like all sorts of things.
All right. Well,
Which
so
one matters?
we can go get started here. We took a long break because I had to go do some stuff. But
Now that
we.
everybody else is back, I'm gonna go grab something to drink. He says.
Okay, fair. What's the plan for you guys? Are you going to head back to Fellington or?
I
Yeah.
assume we're
Let's
going
see.
back to Fellington.
We're back
Yeah.
on the map now, aren't we? Yeah, I wasn't. Let me-
Yeah, it was either go find Wizard Halfling Boy or go back to Fellington, and we've taken the Fellington line at this point.
Well, Fellington is like on the way, as long as we're already going out of the way to Mirthfield.
Yeah.
Would
So-
you? All right. Yeah. So.
We had to ally with the dude on the farthest edge of this fucking country.
Look, that's where we started. We didn't get a choice.
Yeah, you guys chose it. You did have a choice, but you guys wanted to start
We
in
chose
somewhere.
it.
Well, no, you chose the kingdom, the island, I guess, but I chose that part of the
I
island.
did not.
I
choose
think Kragox and like Purplex did. I don't remember.
Did what?
Like said that we should start here, which I actually really like in retrospect, but but-
Well, the lore at the time was far less fleshed out.
Yes, that's
and
also
starting
true.
in the
Yeah.
smack middle of a huge continent, it would have been kind of like, well, what about this place and this place and this place?
I
and
do-
this place,
yeah,
this
I do
place,
agree,
this place,
actually.
This place.
no, I agree.
And I wouldn't have been eaten by a fish.
Hey, it's easy. You just gotta
I mean,
make.
you still might have been eaten by a fish.
This would have been a flying fish.
You just gotta
Yeah.
make the Duke the king, and then he'll be based out of the easternmost part of the kingdom.
No, you moved the capital.
All right,
Boulder's Landing will be the old capital.
Yeah.
Like
just
a,
need to
fair.
kill
like a
my
Russia
brother.
situation.
We just
Yeah.
need to kill my brother,
Take over.
and then I take over Durndale,
Right.
and then we kill every other noble, so I can
Yeah.
be the ruler.
Yeah, that seems.
sorry, Anna.
Seems super easy.
Wow.
Okay, so
I'm a disowned noble, so I don't count.
so your guys' plan is to go, like back on the road to Fellington, then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. It'll take a few days, but
The fuck am I
Give me a
going to do
second.
with this painting?
Well, so one thing
You can
that-
make it a gift.
No, I mean, like, I'm going to be traveling with this thing for the next how many ever days.
like
Cover it
strap
with
it
a
on your
cloth.
back, I guess.
Like with your blanket. And drape it from your horse.
Make it look like a tower shield on my back.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess, like, is the frame itself valuable? Because the classic thing is you just take it out of the frame, roll it up.
Mm-hmm.
The frame itself, it looks pretty fine too. Yeah. Although it does look aged. I mean, the painting does too. It was sitting in a cave for a few hundred years.
Like, I guess if I can feasibly travel with it as is, I will. Just cover it up with something.
Okay. You could. I don't think it would be that big of an issue with the horse. You could probably figure out a way to situate it. But you might get
Alright.
some looks on the road.
We're going to be getting some looks on the road
yeah,
anyway. So.
yes, that is precisely correct. So, Alright, so
Alright,
you
I mean,
guys
why are we getting
No.
looks?
because Anna's hauling
We're
around a
just
painting.
friends, group of adventurers.
Well, just because we exist.
Yeah,
honestly.
that's true. Yeah,
Alright, but why this time specifically?
because Anna's
Because I'm
painting.
carrying a huge painting around,
Oh,
and I'm riding a
fair.
warhorse.
Yeah. So the I am going to look some real quick. Okay, cool. So is your plan? Are you gonna go back to Mirthfield and then like head on off on the road, towards Fellington, the main road?
I would propose we just go like directly towards a northern town.
Yeah, Landbris or whatever it's
Since we're like
called.
half
Yeah.
a day's travel into the woods, and it would be kind of a waste to travel
Yeah.
back like
Okay.
a half a day.
Sounds good. So you can go to like from there or wherever to Landbris and then get on the road. Sounds good. Or hop on the road on the way. I gotcha. Okay, that sounds good. So you start traveling, and we're not going to go over the details of the travel too much. But on the road the next day, somewhere before you get to Staverfeld, there's going to be something a little bit noteworthy that happens. Well, it's up to you guys if it's noteworthy, I guess. While you're on the road, you guys are going along, and on this major road, lots of times, you guys have already seen these definitely a few times, but I haven't really described them. You've seen like different sort of caravans go by that are taking goods by land to one city or the next through the land routes. But normally they aren't too notable. It's mostly just like, 4 or 5 wagons with maybe a group of guards escorting them and a merchant on the horse or something. That's normally what it looks like. And you've seen definitely a couple of these as you guys have been on the major roads. However, you guys are coming down the road towards Staverfeld, and you guys see one of these caravans sort of passing you the other way, going towards Averton. And it's not really anything out of the ordinary. It's like there's a few guards and then like one, I guess like overseer or a headmaster or something, quartermaster, leading it. Not too notable, except for the fact that one of these guards of this caravan, riding on a draft horse, is a mountain elf. And 2, you recognize this mountain elf.
Okay.
His name is Morthil. You weren't like best friends with him. He was just an acquaintance in your village. But still, it's not like you were in a huge village. You knew pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
And so
that's true.
this mountain elf Morthil, a guy, he is riding along. It doesn't seem like he sees you yet, but you definitely see him right away. And he's just riding along, kind of like minding his own business. The rest of the group might recognize that this is a mountain elf, but they wouldn't know that stuff, obviously.
I'm going to ride to him.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and when you sort of ride close, the headmaster or quartermaster of this caravan is like, whoa, do you need any assistance? And as he says that, then Morthil looks up, because he was just kind of like looking down or doing something with his hands, and he like looks up when he hears the quartermaster at the front of the caravan say this, and he's like, 2, is that you 2?
Yeah, that's me. I didn't realize or I guess I did realize. I've been told that there are other wood elves on this part of the island.
You mean mountain elves? Yeah. Yeah.
Mountain elves.
And the quartermaster is like, oh, Morthil, you know her? And he's like, yeah. And so the quartermaster doesn't give any problems, lets you ride over to Morthil and ride along. Or I mean, so they're going the other way, but you can always catch up to the rest of the group real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the other group reacts in any way though. But Morthil's like, he's like, yes, I didn't know you were still alive. I thought everyone else had died.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Until recently, I heard that there had been more more of our kind near Fellington and
He nods.
possibly throughout you know, the rest of Alderland.
And so he's speaking in Elvish, by the way, as I'm sure
Yeah,
you would
of
be.
course.
And
I'll ask him like how he got out.
he's like
I
yeah.
guess.
So he was like, yeah, when that monstrosity, when it attacked and started just tearing our village apart, I just ran. I didn't know what to think of it. This monstrosity of nature or something, and I ran away, and I came back the next day, and just I only took one look, saw the carnage, what had happened, and then ran away. You know, my family, I saw their bodies there, and he shudders with this, and he's like, I went to the shoreline, and I found some logs, built a raft to escape off the island, started to go, and crashed, barely made it to an island. I started going around and seeing what sort of inhabitants the island had, and it turned out to be the island to the north of here, the large island to the north. People there were pretty hostile and unwelcoming, so I managed to blend in just enough, or not blend in, but just get by long enough to work up some money to come here. Found some work guarding caravans. That's what I've been doing ever since.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been doing basically the same. I've found a group of travelers, and
He's like,
the pay and loot has been more than worth it, and he can probably see like all of the shinies that are just presented upon my body.
and he's like, I can see that too, but I mean, do you know if your family made it
No,
and escaped?
they didn't.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
You see,
to
when
hear
the beast attacked, I was part of the front line, as you may have remembered. I was one of the few more talented fighters in our group,
that. You always were. Yeah.
and I'm not exactly sure how I survived, but I woke up probably a good 100 feet away from our camp.
And he nods. He's like, you know, too, when I went back the next day, briefly looked over the bodies of my family, I found something, but I don't really have any use for it, but maybe you do. And so what he pulls out is let me think. Sorry. So he pulls out of so he kind of like rummages around inside of his like satchel or bag on his side for a minute, and he's like, yeah, just a moment. I gotta find it. I didn't think I would ever have a use for it, but maybe you can find more information out about it. And so he rummages around and he pulls out what appears to be like a ripped piece of red cloth. And on this piece of cloth, in like woven on or in black on this red cloth, is this icon. It's like the best way to describe it is that it's almost like an eye, but it's decoratively drawn and has like these three sort of like lines coming off of it. I can draw up a rudimentary version of it later. Actually, I can just draw one on the map right now.
Yeah, sure.
It's not going to be great, but I'll put it just anywhere. It's like a, yeah, that's great. It's good. It would obviously look much better than this, but it's sort of like an eye that has like these swooshes coming off of it.
Is.
Yeah, the eye would look much better and like almost It'll look much better. Well, that's the general gist of it. But it's on this red cloth that has this black embroidered pattern. But it looks like this was ripped off of something. And there's also a little bit of a blood splatter on it. And he's like, I found this near the bodies of my my family members. I think maybe this was on part of what do you remember too?
Let's see. There was a towering demonic figure with large horns that seemed to appear out of nowhere. And basically just consumed our whole village.
I really wish I could hear this so I could help tell you what that is, but I don't know Elvish.
Yeah. Well, also, I think this is private information, too, you know. So then so he's like, so do you not remember what happened after a while? The beast, this is when I had to run, because I realized this was not a winnable fight, although it already looked pretty bleak and grim. It must have been after you were knocked out or whatever, but it started to summon other monstrosities, and I think that they had on cloth tunics, armor, or something that had this icon. I couldn't see it at the time, but I think that my dad, in his desperation, must have tried to rip it off of one of the beasts to show that it perhaps to any survivors as a clue.
I see.
I have no idea what it means. No doubt some demonic symbol, and frankly, I don't think I have the strength or the resolve to track down such a piece of information. If it would doubtless lead to my death, but it seems like you've made friends, and you were always a great fighter. Maybe you can find something out about it.
I'm more than sure that I can find out what this is and the meaning of it. Tell me, where will you be?
He's like, well, with the merchant I'm helping, being paid by, he mostly ships between Fellington, Averton, and the capital, Alder's Landing. We plan on going through Averton and then to Alder's Landing.
I can tell you right now, you might want to skip Averton.
Why? What's wrong with Averton?
The last time I was there, shit seemed to, hit the fan after the death of the king in this land.
Well, I mean, that's up to the quartermaster, but
yeah, I understand that.
I'll
you're
warn
getting
him,
paid to
though.
do a job, but
Yeah, I'll warn him.
Please do
Thank
warn
you
him.
too. Is there any way I could reach you and see if you found anything?
Fellington would probably be like the best option of where I might be.
Okay, well,
But
I mean,
also-
I'll be back there in a couple months probably. So
If
Yeah.
I may put in,
I thought you guys were gonna go the
Have
other
we
way.
been in earshot this whole
No,
time?
I think you guys
Would
were.
they have talked this way if we were?
No, I thought
Oh.
2 was going back the Well, these guys are passing you, so I thought 2 like turned around and was going.
I
the
thought
other way.
this dude stopped.
No, they were.
No, I booked it the other direction with these
Oh, then I
fools.
guess we're just waiting for it.
Sorry.
You definitely could have followed along, but we're definitely just like I'm riding away.
Yeah,
from
they're just
you
riding
guys.
at like a walking pace away the other direction, but but they by this point
As
they'd be
they
out of
leave,
earshot.
Anna jokes, "Thank God she's gone."
Anyways,
Never
though.
thought we'd get rid of her.
Anyways, though, so it's.
Definitely, obviously a joke.
So what is the?
Completely, 100% humor.
So what is so anyways, what did you say to like he should what were they saying? He could find you in Fellington. Was that about it? I think that's it.
Yeah. And then I'm just gonna leave him with like you know, a bit of resolve and tell him like we will take our homeland back.
And he nods and puts like a weak smile on his face.
And then I'll tell him some like inspirational something that
Yeah,
the
like a
elders used to
saying.
tell us.
Yeah, I gotcha. Like a idiomatic expression.
Yeah,
All right.
you got it.
All right, so sounds good. And then you ride back to join the group. They're only a couple minutes down the road. It's
Yeah.
a problem. Okay, and you guys continue trotting along. I don't know. Do you guys ask? You could obviously ask too about that if you want.
Friend of yours?
Actually, from my my village to the west.
We know like nothing. So
Yep,
Yeah.
correct.
I'm not even sure. Do we know that she came from like one of the other islands even?
Yeah, I told you guys that much.
Okay.
That's
Well,
all
I
told you.
think we knew that there weren't really mountain elves here, so they would have had to have come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I told you that I was from upside down Texas.
Yeah.
What brought your friend to Alderland?
Probably the same thing that I did that brought me here. Yep.
Right.
I see. Where were they headed?
He said that the group that he was, the caravan that he was with, was headed to Averton. I told him that probably wasn't the best idea. But it sounds like they'll end up in Fellington.
I should have sold them this painting.
It's not too late to turn around.
They weren't moving too quickly. I'm not sure what their business is or if they'd be in the market for such a thing, but we could definitely.
Well,
come
there's some
back
sort
and
of
see.
merchant caravan, right?
Yeah.
Did they seem like they had anything even similar to?
No. No, they had like metal goods and stuff.
Anything I would want in trade? Because I doubt they have like a few thousand gold on them.
They just
or
had
whatever the fuck this
no.
is worth.
I mean, in terms of goods, you could see that most of their stuff was like metal wares and like some textile type goods like clothing and stuff.
Oh, some stuff Nox would want for her army, but not what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it.
We haven't even looked at the back of the canvas yet, though. We should do that first.
What?
Look, the map to the Constitution is on the back of the canvas.
Yeah. Nice.
We gotta rub lemon juice on the back of the canvas.
Correct. And then we have to steal the Declaration.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Well, I guess we're continuing on our way then.
Alright, yeah, sounds good.
Declaration of no centaurs allowed.
Correct.
So when you
We should just enslave them.
Wow.
Wow. So you reach.
Wow.
I'm sure they'd be good at working.
When you reach the town. Hold on. I gotta think about the timeline here. Hold on.
The town of Hold On. I've never
Yeah,
seen this
Let
one.
me open the calendar real quick.
Where's that?
I mean,
By the way, I have been keeping up the habit of like making the princess disappear whenever it would make
Yeah,
sense.
no, I got you.
So I'm assuming that that's another spell slot gone. I'm just gonna say that I'm probably missing like most of my level 2 spell slots every day.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds all right.
Goodbye, spell slots.
Okay, give me a second here. Hold on. Hold the front door. Okay.
Not the back door.
Hold on
Okay.
actually sounds like a name that would be on this map, though.
When you
It does.
when you make it to Derryworth,
See?
Excuse me?
so staying over in the town of Derryworth, which is near Snowfeld, you guys hear
Oh, there it is.
that news has reached Derryworth, from Fellington, actually, is where the news originated in this area. But news has arrived in Derryworth that the Duke of Norland has started to travel, or is traveling right now to the capital, to Alder's Landing, to be crowned the new king.
Who is?
The Duke of Norland. Baldry is his name.
The princess's cousin.
Yeah. Or yeah, like first cousin
Does
or
he have
second
a
cousin. once
supporting
removed? I don't
majority
know.
from what people seem to think?
It seems like the Duke of Aver has publicly contested this, but because of the fact that supposedly the princess, his strongest part of his claim, is missing, then his claim was substantially reduced, and he wasn't taken as seriously. But he still has some support, and is on his own as a powerful vassal. So
By the way, the princess didn't want to go to Fellington, did she?
No.
yeah, she didn't actually.
So going to Fellington is fine. Staying in Fellington and being given over to the Duke is not fine.
Yeah, she doesn't want to even go into the Duke's
So she is a
castle.
random girl right now,
Yeah,
as far as...
she doesn't even
Yeah.
want to go into the Duke's castle. She'll like stay at a tavern or something, or an inn.
That is fine.
I will stay with
I will drop her off at my family's house.
Okay, yeah, that works. Actually.
All right, that works too.
I will leave.
And they'd be
I'll
like,
help her
"Oh,
with
you're
it.
so pretty. What are you? Who are you?" She's like, "Oh, no one, And
We need to ugly her up some.
No, that's fine.
but no. So the so you
I mean,
you
I gave her my old
the dirty clothes with blood on them, yeah.
No, they're clean.
Okay. Oh yeah,
They got
that's
cleaned.
right.
Yeah,
You
Anna cleaned them.
prestidigitation them, yeah. But no. So the Duke of Norland is actually on his way. He hasn't been crowned the king yet, but he is going to be crowned the king with majority support. Although it definitely seems like there are some other dissenters. You also hear though that the town of Wenswell has come under attack. And is currently, as far as the last information that you guys knew, or was known, Wenswell is under siege by a bunch of raiders and giants.
We just so happen to be going there.
And they've attacked from Derbyshire, where they landed, and are attacking with an army. Although the rumor that you guys hear is that they have 100 giants with them. But again, this is like 5 links removed from the source, if not more. Probably like 10. So, probably not completely true. But that's the idea. Is like they're like, someone tells you, oh, there was like 1,000 soldiers and 100 giants, right? And then the people who are listening are like, the other people who are listening, the townsfolk in this town are like what? No way! That's terrifying! And like a woman faints or something, And they're like, but yeah, the dude is like, yeah, but the walls of Wenswell were made to stand against northern raids, so they should be good to hold for a while. And the Earl of the Wenswood has sent for aid from Duke Baldry, who will be the new king. And hopefully he'll respond better than the old king would have. And so that's sort of the rumors you guys hear. Those are the 2 big pieces of news. And as you get closer to Fellington the next day, you'd hear some of the same thing, like little places you'd stop to eat lunch from other travelers and stuff, like that.
Yeah.
And when you reach Fellington, actually, you do notice that the guards at the gates are doubled, it seems. And you guys are stopped. You're not stopped like in a suspicious manner. These people actually recognize you. But they stop to sort of like tell you. They're like, whoa there, Lady Knox.
Hello.
The Duke the Duke made it clear that all the watches that when you arrive, you'd be told to meet with him as soon as possible. But beyond that, the city is on a bit of high alert, as you might be able to tell, with the attack on Wenswell and the city holding out right now. But that is all.
All right, thank you.
And then they let you in and nod you guys on through. Okay.
Okay, so first, drop off Princess.
Yep.
At family.
She would ask you before she gets shot off, so she would ask you, like, are you then gonna, pick me up later to take me to your fort?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm leaving Ollie with her.
Okay, sounds good.
Then I guess
She
you
likes
can meet your
Spaniards, so
parents.
that's good.
I mean, my dad might be there if he's not working.
He would probably be off at a business meeting. When you guys
Might meet the maid then.
Yeah, you can meet the maid.
Hello, maid.
Whose name I don't remember, but I have somewhere. And she's very nice. She's like, oh, well, hello there.
And then, does anyone have any stops they want to we get to the Duke's castle?
Where would Raymond be?
Ramon?
Yeah.
He would probably be with Ulrich somewhere, and Ulrich would probably be in the castle.
Okay.
Hold
Married.
on, give me a second. I gotta think myself. Okay, yeah. So as you guys are going through the city, someone comes up to. At one point in time, too, someone walks up beside you, kind of just like in the thronging streets in one of the busier streets, and you feel them press something into your hand.
Who?
Who is this you?
It's just a cloaked figure, and then they kind of just walk away. And they do it like they blend in with the crowd pretty well, but they press something in your hand very subtly and then wander away.
They don't
Oh,
look like the brothel people, do they?
They look like they could be.
You're telling me they beat my passive perception of 11 and I didn't notice
Yes,
anything
they
happening
do.
in the group?
I mean,
Shocking!
it beats that passive. Yeah. And so, so you get this thing pressed in your hand. I'm assuming you look at it.
I'm going to just look down at it.
It's a scrolled
Not
up
gonna-
letter, like a rolled up letter,
Okay.
piece of paper.
I'm just gonna pocket it for now.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it actually does have like a little seal on it that's like holding it scrolled up, rolled up, and the seal on it you see a scorpion. Anyways,
That sounds like it would meet up with the brothel people.
yeah. But anyways, so you get that and pocket it. And you guys make it to the castle, no problems. And when you make it here, is the plan to just go meet with the Duke right away?
Yeah.
Alright,
Probably.
sounds good. So
We
you
got
guys,
some offloading to do.
You guys make it to him. It's actually so he'll meet with you, and it's him as well as his son Ulrich and Ramon as well. Theravel is not here right now.
We have so much shit for Maver.
Yeah.
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 Give me a second. Okay, so
Like, honestly, I'm probably just going to bring the painting with me.
yeah. Okay. So
I gotta pawn it off on somebody.
so the Duke, when you guys come in, he actually
Might as well
stands.
give it to him.
he stands up from his seat, in his like personal study where you guys are meeting him, and he stands up and he actually gives a slight bow to Nox in particular.
Yeah, I'll bow back. Why not?
And he
I
says,
learned how to do that.
and he says, "Well, you return."
Yep. Went about as well as you could expect.
I'm assuming Duke Jesper was not pleased with your presence there.
You could say that. He did tried to accuse us of being there to spy on him, but he didn't quite make it that far. I think
He realizes that he may be ambitious, but he realizes that he is bound by the rules of nobility.
Looking
We
around,
did
how
learn-
private are we right now?
Pretty private. It's a Duke's private meeting room, a private study.
All right.
We did learn some things, though.
Indeed.
I don't think we came up with any solid proof that the Duke was is personally working with the cult of Sklerovac. But
Yeah, didn't I
his-
sending to the wizard about the
Yeah,
cleric already?
about the
Yeah,
cleric.
so they
Yeah.
know that a little bit.
But his priest certainly is.
Yes, Therivel had mentioned this. I presume you didn't do this because I would have heard of it, but you didn't kill the man, did you?
Of course not.
That is
Although it did
good.
cross my mind. It's a possibility, but
It is good that you didn't. I understand, obviously, that is the right thing to do, but it would have made things much more complex politically for myself. You can imagine.
the other thing that we learned was that we overheard this conversation the Duke was having with what was that other guy's name? The dude with the flail?
Maynard.
Yeah, with his advisor Maynard. Is that
Oh, is he the priest?
No,
No.
that was Theodore.
that's yeah?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that he plans to try to ally with the Count of fuck, I don't remember.
Oh, it was
What was that place called?
it was the Count, but now I changed that, just retconning to the Earl of Wenswell, the one who's under attack right now.
Right.
Yeah.
He sought to seek an alliance with that was very redundant, with the Earl of Winswell. Presumably in case of civil war in the kingdom. Though I hear that the Duke of Norland is on his way to be crowned.
Yes. Yes. That has been the goings on, politically speaking, in the kingdom. Most of the rulers of the realms of the kingdom, we have our wizards who have the ability to communicate with each other quickly, so it's not so difficult. Although the barons, news travels slowly outside of the cities of the kingdom. But yes, we've been kept in touch with and kept up to speed with the goings on in the kingdom, and the Duke of Norland has tentative support, I would say. I personally supported neither him nor the Duke of Aver. I abstained to support either. But
Why?
well, I could not bring myself to support the Duke of Aver. Me and him.
Naturally.
But
But what is the issue with the Duke of Norland?
the Duke of Norland. Oh, sorry, I'm just fixing the stream real quick. Give me a second. There we go. The Duke of Norland. He is
Tell me what this man's name is again.
the Duke of Norland. Wait, which one?
The Duke of Felling.
Oh, Mortain.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Mortain. So he's like, the Duke of Norland, while an older man than the Duke of Aver, and not someone who I have a personal grudge against, is not a man that I would like to see the king. And while I understand the perspective of voting for the lesser of two evils, I don't believe that my situation will be benefited by having the Duke of Norland as our ruler. I can see why you are saying that. I should have at least supported him to so as to negate the risk of Duke Jesper of Aver, rising to the throne. But when I heard that the Duke of Aver had lost his link to the throne, the princess, and kind of like a twinkle comes in his eyes as he is looking at you, almost like a little look at, like, sort of like out of the ordinary, like, did you guys have anything to do with that? But he doesn't say anything like that. But you guys kind of get this from his glimpse of his eyes. But he's like, with that link gone, I knew that the Duke of Aver would not be supported as a candidate for the throne. I realize maybe you disagree with my decision, Lady Nox, and your input is valued as a member of my vassalage. But as I did when our previous king rose to the throne, and there was a civil war, I didn't support either side until I had no choice to, at which point I put in my support fully. And that is what I intend to do this time. When the Duke is crowned king, I will send him my support.
And presumably you will receive half-hearted tolerance again, as you did from the last king.
And I suppose so.
Well, if you insist on this course, you might at least consider sending forces to Winswell. If you can earn local support, that would at least fend off aggressions from Ava.
That actually...
And if we can cut them off from an alliance.
Your suggestion has a lot of truth to it. My good friend Bregowin of Jortenheim, the Count of Jortenheim, he has already sent some of his men to aid in the defense of Winswell. And I did plan on sending my own. However, and this is something I believe you'll be interested in learning, the situation within my own realm has grown a little bit more unstable. And I'm sure you can guess why. But the Baron of Snowfeld, I had told you before you left I was going to send a diplomatic envoy, a message to the Baron, accusing him of the things you had accused him of, and bringing forth evidence against him. This was done by one of my Sapphire Bears, and the Baron, not only did he refuse to even acknowledge these claims, he kicked out my envoy, my diplomatic mission, after only a night's stay. And this is one step short of a declaration of independence and war, which, well, I plan in the next couple of days. I was actually waiting for your return. I plan on sending him a warning and an ultimatum that he come before me here and stand for his crimes and answer to them and defend himself if he wishes, or that he no longer be considered my vassal and be considered an errant subject who has no legal standing. As a result, the Baron of Snowfeld, he has land and men at his disposal, not as much as myself, but he has a force that makes it so that sending an army, a full army to Winswell, is unfeasible.
I see. We were on our way to Winswell after stopping Snowfeld is in a manner.
If you were planning on reaching Winswell, perhaps Nox, your order of knights, have they been trained?
They have.
And do you think they would be ready for combat?
Definitely, although there are not many of us.
I understand. However, if I were, as I see it, if I were to send even just you and a score of men to Winswell, even if you aren't able to even if you aren't able to provide that much, I honestly don't think that any amount of men I could send is going to change the fate of Wenswell one way or the other. Personally, I think that the city, the town of Wenswell, will most likely fall to the force that has surrounded it. Have you heard the rumors about what surrounds it?
Yes, but the idea of 100 attacking is a little ridiculous.
Yes, there are not 100 giants, but there are a couple dozen, maybe, and a couple score ogres, and I think that is where the confusion lies. Many people have mistaken ogres for giants, and which is fair, but ogres are no joking matter. It could take down, an ogre could by itself take down a patrol of men. And they have a couple score or more ogres, as well as they do have quite a few hundreds of men who are all hardened by raiding along our shores. This is not a small force. The walls of Wenswell can only hold for so long. I suspect that the Earl of the Wenswood will have to retreat, but that's the other reason why I'm not going to be sending an army. My army wouldn't make it before this probably happens. However, if you make it there, perhaps you can at least make a show of our force in support of the Earl.
Perhaps. It is. I am stopping at Fort Dostar on the way, so I could pick up people there.
If you are, well, you had said you were already on the way to Wenswell, correct?
Yes, Sigrid, the man you sent some of us to find in
yes,
Haverton. He was last known in Wenswell.
Well, Sigrid is a well-known wizard. He probably will be able to take care of himself. Yes, if you're going there in search of Sigrid, the wizard, then perhaps you could find a way to meet with the Earl of Wenswell in any case.
Well, I suppose we'll see what's there to be done.
Maybe he'll have work for a group of your size and specialty.
There was one more thing. I'm not sure how fast the rumors have spread here, but centaurs have been landing in force to the south.
A rumor of such a thing reached me, but by one person and not confirmed.
Well, it's true. They aim, in their words, to settle only in the untamed wild forests. I tried to explain to them that this would bring them into conflict with humans no matter what they tried.
You met those creatures?
We did.
And they didn't kill you on sight?
They felt confident that they were not under threat from us, so they agreed to speak.
In their words, they will not fight anyone that doesn't get directly in their way.
I know that...
But they refuse to trust any humans.
I've never met a centaur, and I know few who have, but I've always heard of them to be a very warlike people.
Based on our conversation, they are not willing to peace. I made several overtures to them to try to be allies instead of having them invading our lands, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be an option.
And how many were there?
There were only...
It was like a dozen. Yeah.
Like a dozen?
Mm-hmm.
A dozen, though they claim that they have more on the way.
Yes, they might have been willing to speak with you, but they said that they already had some unnamed ally that they refused to speak of,
Hmm.
giving them information of this land.
Do you have any idea who might be willing to help them from Selthia?
He thinks about it for a second. He's like, I know I was taught when I was tutored and raised to be a ruler of this area by my father. And by his tutors that he hired, including elves, halflings, and the like. I do know that there are many tribes that used to live on this island, some of which were major forces to be reckoned with, some of which were minor, and that the largest of them, many of the larger tribes, were very warlike, which is again why I'm surprised you were not attacked on sight. If anything, maybe they just were referring to another tribe of centaurs or something that is planning on coming over. Some of the tribes of centaurs I know do number in the hundreds.
Well, they have someone who is making boats for them, claim they did not make them themselves.
Boats. Now that is interesting. That makes sense, I suppose. The centaurs are not... Well, they're not the best crafters of ships. The largest dockyards that we have here, the largest dry dock facilities on the island, are on the eastern coast in Estranville and Solum, or in Alder's Landing, but we don't have any major shipyards here. I doubt they would have just bought them on this island, or borrowed them, or rented them, or gotten
I imagine the make of these boats that they're using would be a giveaway of where they came from, but...
Possibly, but we haven't been on the coast to see.
The only other thing I could think of is someone not from this island, a ruler from beyond the sea, perhaps in Seldane, or in Keldia, or in the Isle to the north, Elbane, as they call it now.
That Northern King would benefit from unleashing warlike centaurs wishing to reclaim the forests.
You're not wrong. In fact, well, obviously his army is that is invaded and is attacking Winswell. In fact, this is not something you'll hear in the rumors, but a rumor is that he has been spotted himself. The old King Thomer. He's an old man, but a fierce warrior even in his age. And his two sons alongside him. But they've been spotted at the ranks at the head of the army, sieging Winswell. But they are... they would certainly benefit from having another enemy of ours on the island, even if it's on the other side.
How certain are you that King Tomer and his sons are at Winswell?
Therivel told me that he had been in contact from the court wizard of the Earl there, and that he had seen them with their own eyes in the camp.
Well, that is something that my men and I may take care of.
He is a fierce warrior. I would be careful,
Yes. A fierce warrior can do nothing when he cannot.
Going back to the centaurs for a moment, the reason they were in the forest where we found them is they were trying to retrieve parts of a key to retrieve some sort of artifact they said that they would use to take back the forests.
Well, to be honest, while I know a bit of their ways and the history of the centaurs on this island, I don't know that much. You'd be...
Oh, speaking of history, Miles, I'm assuming Miles has the bag of holding. Should we show it to him?
Yes! Yes, because honestly, let's get rid of this tapestry.
Is there enough room in here? Like, how big is this room?
It's
Can we
not
just, like,
big,
roll
but
this
it's probably
this
just
fucker
big
out on the
enough.
floor?
It's probably just big enough that you could,
all right,
help me?
everyone get to the sides of the room, please.
Can you help me?
Yes.
And...
I take off my bag of holding and put it on the floor.
Yeah.
And then we have to drag it out of the bag.
Yep.
Like,
could
probably
someone go into the
unfold it
bag?
and then unroll
So
it.
it actually only takes an action to remove something from the bag, so it comes out pretty easily.
If you have the
Okay, so
strength
he'll
to do
hold
it.
it, and I
It's
yank
a
it out, and it goes
450
flying.
pound. Yeah.
Actually, what I could do is I could hold the bag and like turn it inside out, and then all the stuff
Everything
comes
would
out,
come out.
including
yeah,
my money.
that's true.
I'm
Okay.
then
assuming
you
it was
lose your
shoot
money.
out, still rolled up.
Yeah,
though.
it would still be rolled up or whatever.
Just use an action to remove it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
once
so
it
we pop this big ass tapestry.
And once it leaves the
tapestry out,
bag-
like 450 pounds of tapestry smacks the ground.
once it leaves the bag, it almost rips your arm out of the socket because like 450 pounds all at once, and it just smacks the ground, almost catches your foot, but you move out of the way.
Then I'll start going about unrolling it.
Yeah, Ulrich will come over and help because he's pretty muscular, you know.
Ooh.
and he nods and he like helps unroll it with you.
I'll explain while this is happening. As Anna mentioned, the centaurs were looking for artifacts. Well, we had retrieved the artifact and they were not willing to let us leave with it. In exchange for giving it to them, we took some of the other things from their shrine. This
We
was one of
destroyed
those
their
things.
fucking map.
Not as well. Hopefully we slowed them down, but who knows.
And so he starts looking at it, and like he stands up and walks, paces at the side of it. Starts looking at it. He's like, and once he sees enough to see like the
spooky man.
yeah, and like the stuff it's showing, the main things, he's like, this is the Battle of Selthia, correct?
Correct. That is what the title is.
I do not speak that language, but I will take your word for it. This is quite interesting. I think I have heard this legend before, although it was years ago. This is regarding the.
Do you know what a Tharavel is?
Yes, he's in a study. He's doing some research.
Could you have someone fetch him for me?
Sure. And Ulrich goes to the door and calls out to like a guard in the hall who's guarding outside, who goes off. He'll be here in a few minutes.
So it's legend.
Yes, I did hear once before in my tutelage about such a legend regarding this hand. I think they called it a Lao or something.
Yes, I
Correct.
believe
What the
this is
centaurs
what the
called it.
centaurs seek.
That's the only word of that language I even know. I can't believe I remember that even. But this, I do remember hearing that this hand was supposedly on this island somewhere. That is all I
Centaurs
know.
seem to believe it is.
That is all I know, but I know not what that means. And so yeah, so Tharavel will come down in a couple minutes on this, but
Do you recognize any of the individuals on this tapestry?
he kind of looks at him. He's like, I do not. What I know about this battle is that it took place. And now he has to think, because he's like, this is stuff he learned maybe when he was a kid or like a teenager. He's like, I think this battle took place maybe 1,500, 1,600 years ago. And as such, it's not something that I spent too much time learning about. And it was fought in Selthia, a land far away from here. We have Selthian diplomats that reach us occasionally, mostly to the king, though. And even then, our realm concerns them very little.
Well, speaking of more recent events, Anna will go over to a wall where she probably propped it up during the whole tapestry ordeal,
Uh-huh.
and whips her cloak off of a big portrait painting that she'd been lugging around.
Okay, yeah.
We have a memento from your favorite noble family.
He's
Although
like,
don't worry, we didn't steal it from him.
yeah, give me a second. He's like, he looks at it and he's like, that is, he looks surprised by it. He's like, this doesn't seem like he was expecting to see anything like this. He's like, if I'm not mistaken, that is one of the previous Dukes of Aver.
Certainly seems that way.
Yes, he has the appropriate weapon for it.
And he kind of looks at him. He's like, from the armor and from everything he has on and the pendant around his neck, he looks at it. He's like, this must be several hundred years old. How come you buy this painting if not from stealing it from the Duke?
It was also
Oh.
in...
Either spoils or gifts, they said, were in there. Same as this tapestry.
I see, and I see that I don't know which of the dukes this was, but it seems that whichever one it was, he holds the same flail of Alder that his family has held for many, many years.
Speaking of the Blades of Alder, the centaurs implied that there are 4 instead of 3 of them.
Yes.
4 Blades of Alder. Are you sure?
That's what
Yes.
they said.
certain.
I've never heard of that with the legend.
It would imply that somewhere over the course of the last, 300 years, the centaurs were gone or something like that?
Yeah, maybe not 300
somewhere
years.
in the last few centuries, one of them has been lost to history. At least ours.
I suppose it's feasible. We don't have much written history of this area, at least, and the centaurs don't keep written histories. But I would have thought that such a thing would be stored by us. Did they mention where this blade was held?
I don't think we asked.
They didn't so much mention the 4th blade. They mentioned that there are 4 of them. We don't know anything of the other blade.
Well, my tutoring was more wide in scope regarding politics.
Does
and
the Duke
political
know that
happenings.
Miles has the one?
I don't actually.
That's why I'm dancing around mentioning
I don't
that,
think so.
why it came up.
I know Ulrich does.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you
Oh,
want to
that's right.
mention it now, that's why the centaurs
Yeah,
brought it up.
because-
Go ahead.
I've mentioned
Yeah, that's
to him where we got it from.
Yeah, that's right. He would be. So Ulrich was not gonna say anything else. You do, Miles.
Yeah, and I'll kind of look at Miles and see if he wants to say anything, but won't mention it explicitly.
Fine. I forget what the Duke of Felling name is.
Mortain. Yeah.
Mortain, if you will allow me to call you that. I'm sure you've heard rumors about Stryker being stolen from under the nose of the Duke of Norland.
Yes.
Oh God, the future king potentially.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
I may or may not have found myself in its possession due to what I believe to be divine intervention.
And Mortain looks at you, and his jaw drops a little bit. You did tell him about your noble background, right?
No, I once again told Ulrich.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. So the Duke
I think
just
you kind
kind
of talked to him about something. I think it came up. He also knows that I am a noble.
He mentioned that he had family.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he just said his family in Durndale.
That place, yeah,
Yeah.
Durndale.
So the Duke looks at you, and his jaw his mouth opens a little bit. He drops his jaw just a little bit, and he's like, "You came into possession of such one of the blades, the blade that the Duke of Norland."
I summoned Stryker into my hand.
And he like goes, "Ugh," like he's a little surprised, not scared, but he's like surprised. He's like, "That does look like the blade. I've seen it myself in person. Do you mind if I hold it?"
I kind of like shift to where I'm holding the blade, and I hold the grip out to him.
Yeah. He takes it and he just kind of like holds it for a second, looks at it and studies it, and he's like, This does seem to be the blade, but if this came to you, how did this come to you by divine intervention?"
Okay, it's a bit of a long story.
Quite an odd one, but I vouch for it.
My friends and I were traveling along the roads near Snowfeld, and
He just nods. So
we
you say about it.
happened across a sort of magical carnival of sorts. No one around except for one person, a man by the name of Sortro. He wished us to play a game for this sword.
Did we ever tell
played-
Parabol about this?
I don't think so. I think Ulrich
We
knows, but...
we asked about Sortro.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
we
that much. I don't think we ever went over the whole story of like
yeah.
losing 2 party members and gaining a
Uh,
magical sword and
Yeah, that sounds like us.
Given the history and, of course, the power of such a weapon, I figured it best that we play this game after one of our companions insisted we do. To play this game to get such a sword. One of our party members died playing this game. Well, not really died. Her soul was stripped from her body and sent to hell. Her body still lies there, living, presumably.
No, he took it with him.
He
promised...
said he would watch over the bodies.
Yeah, until you called upon him to bring him back when you found the souls, if you ever did.
Consequently, the Baron of Snowfeld's ring is with that individual as well now.
There's
Oh,
also
yeah.
about this,
It's all
I
bad.
say, patting the bag of holding.
And so the Duke is like, he's like, if you were any random person coming in here and telling me this story, I would consider you a madman and possibly
And
have
you'd be right to believe so.
Yes.
But I assure you, I am no madman,
No.
and this is
He
Striker.
thinks his wife is a dragon.
My wife is a dragon.
He just looks confused. He's like, here's the thing though. If Nox, did you witness this as well?
I did.
And you, Anna?
She wasn't
Unfortunately,
in
I
it.
was I left near the beginning of what was happening.
But you saw the man and his carnival tent or whatever it was.
Yes, and his sign, which had text explicitly for each person reading it.
And you.
That was enough for me to want nothing to do with it.
And you too.
She wasn't with us.
Nah.
With or without you. You know, you two. Never mind. Okay. Anyways, so he's like.
No, I've never seen such a tent.
He's like.
You've met Alejandro. That's his name, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's with the princess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah,
with the
the
princess right
weird-
now.
the Duke has met him. So the Duke nods. He's like, yes, I met the man, the Evrian.
He, whether he believes it or not, was summoned by the game that we played.
Also true.
I must admit, I am not. Again, in my tutelage, I was taught many things regarding the wide scope of the kingdom and religion and history of the world, but I was never taught the specifics. I believe you because you all saw it, or several of you saw this, and can vouch for each other, and I trust you all. But at the same time, I apologize because I don't really know if I can help you explain this. Although, and I don't know if Theravel could either, but I would say, well, two things. The first is, if you care to, I could introduce you to my religious advisor, a Centresian by the name of Sebrion. I believe you met him when you first arrived here.
I think so.
He is my correspondent from the Temple of Isidore. He would most likely be able to tell you much more about this figure, this Sortro, did you say it was? I know
Yes,
not of such a
Sortro.
figure.
I believe him to be the avatar of Sortra.
Interesting.
So we don't have proof about that. Does
Well,
seem feasible.
I've never seen another mortal being glowing with every school of magic.
Well, I'll agree with you that he didn't seem old.
Well, did you ask him?
What?
He wasn't very forthcoming with exactly what he
I
is.
think you guys actually did ask him, but like he
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
I literally
you
asked
did
him,
ask
"What
him.
the fuck are you?"
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and he
no,
just like,
no, Drake,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was, literally asked him,
yeah,
"Are you Sortra?"
and he just dodged the answer. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but so
Like,
the,
no, my name is Sortro.
So
not
the Duke-
Sortra. It's completely
so,
different.
So the Duke, the Duke is like, well, so that's the first thing is that if you perhaps you wish to pursue that matter, I believe you, although I'm confused by it. But you could speak to my correspondent with the temple of Isidore here.
We might get him to show up now if we offered to play the game again.
Rather
I'm
than-
not sure it's if this is as supernatural event as you've described it. I'm not sure I'd want that to happen right now. But
And if you're curious about my keeping the sword, I do intend to, as soon as its usefulness proves to not be as useful as it is currently, I do intend to return it to the Duke of Norland.
You may want to do so
I
anonymously
believe
at
you
this
mean
point.
the king at this point.
he will be the king, it seems. Uh-oh. Wait, did my headphones break? Oh, no, okay.
Did they?
Good. I'm
Did
good.
they?
They?
Oh, no, we're good. Okay, I think I might have missed what you said, though. But
I
no.
told
So-
the Duke that I intend to
Oh, yeah, okay.
return the sword.
Yeah,
So we
okay.
went from having a shield that attracted the attention of the entire region to having a sword that's going to attract the attention of the entire kingdom.
So the Duke says, he's like, the other thing I was going to say, though, regarding that blade, is that obviously I care not if you hold it. I have no real, I don't care for the Duke of Norland, soon to be king, that much. I think him somewhat of a fool. But I would say you should probably not display that openly. But again, it didn't seem like you were.
And as soon as he mentions not displaying it openly, it just
Yeah.
vanishes from his hand.
Okay. Yeah, and the Duke was like, oh, okay. Yes, well, I suppose as it relates to this supposed fourth blade, I'm sorry that I can't tell you much. Perhaps if you were to go to one of the scholars, someone who works with one of the temples here, perhaps then you might find more information, but other than that, I cannot share. I do not know anything beyond what I've already told you.
Hmm.
If anything, it seems if the centaurs know anything, maybe the centaurs are those who hold it. Perhaps.
They didn't seem to appreciate seeing one of the blades. So I don't know if they would keep such a thing if they had possession of it.
The blades of Alder, they were used to conquer these lands. Do you all know of the story of the blades?
I think you said we did.
During
Yeah,
my
you already knew the
studies in my
basics.
youth, I became more than familiar with the legends.
And thus you know that the blade you wield, it has its name, which I don't.
Destroyer
know.
of goblins.
Yes, and that is a blade focused on the destruction of the goblins who stood up to the humans of this realm.
Though I can't help but feel it's a bit unnecessary. Goblins tend to die rather easily even without a blade specifically meant for their destruction.
The Duke, the King, King Alder, and then I gotta remember. I think it was like King Alder the second. He would say, he's like we just say the kings. I guess the kings of Alder long ago, 500, 600, 700 years ago, that came here and unified the island under their rule and fought back the halflings, the centaurs, the goblins, the orcs, all of them, the giants. They did not make those blades to be even used necessarily. They made them as symbols of their authority. If someone held the blade of Alder, the one you hold, that of Striker, the one that defeats the Vanquisher, the destroyer of goblinoids and goblins, they held it as a symbol over the goblins, a symbol of power and authority, as in those goblins had no choice but to look up to the king as their rightful ruler. So he's like, I don't think it was meant to be even necessarily used, except maybe at an execution, or in only the most visible of battles, where the king would lead his own army, which is not something that they normally did back then, or now.
So what you're saying is I have probably gotten more use out of it than the blade's ever gotten.
Possibly. I think that perhaps perhaps you've used your blade more than the king who had it forged for him did. The other two that I know of were Vanquisher, the flail, which is on that painting there, pointing to it. The flail, suzerain over halflings, I believe it was called. And the other one I know that the king still holds on to is Sunderer. I believe they called that one Overlord of the Giants, and it was a great sword used to slay giants. Well, again, I think there was maybe a story about one of the kings of Alder who used it in a duel against a single giant. Other than that, can't think of any time it was used.
Say, Duke, and to you as well, you've done some manner of work with the local thieves guilds, haven't you?
The Duke... I mean, so unless Tuani says anything, yeah. The Duke will nod.
I will say I've done plenty and give you a friendly wink. It's only funny if you know it's a brothel.
Which
I think you've mentioned as much.
You might, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we might be able to convince one of them to... I want this sword to not hold the bounty that it holds. Perhaps we can construct a lie with the Thieves Guild. And
I'm going to tell you to hold that thought for a second, and I'm gonna read the letter that I had been given.
Okay.
Just hold on.
Just to make sure my standing with this Thieves Guild is still okay.
No, actually, quite the contrary from it being a bad thing. It actually says, I didn't actually write anything out for this, which is my bad. I kind of thought of it on while we were going, in terms of the details of what it's going to say. But the basics are, it says it's signed from Lady Adrena, the Scorpion, or Scorpioness,
yeah.
I guess you would call herself. But it's signed directly from her.
Scorpioness.
I guess, I don't know. That actually sounds kind of cool. Scorpioness. So, anyways, so it's signed from...
Scorpioness?
Wow. Signed from Lady Adrena the Scorpion. It says something along the lines of it's kind of written in flowery language that almost to you, since you've met her, seems a little bit of a little bit comical, like it's meant to be sort of a joke, but still the meaning is there. That basically says like oh, how I've missed you, I'd love for you to come back sometime. We don't have any work for right now for you, but your presence would be greatly welcomed. Something like that.
Okay, after I'm done reading that, I'll tell Miles to continue.
Yeah, it's just a letter saying that she'd love to see you back with them eventually if they have more work for you.
Sorry, I just had to check a text message real quick.
Basically, I want to construct a story with them and the Duke. Basically surmounting that someone tried to sell the Blade of Alder striker in the black market, and that having a somewhat agreeable relationship with the Duke, they sent word of it to him, and he bought it to return it to the Duke of Norland.
Well,
It
you
would
said that.
certainly be an in with the new king.
Wait, sorry.
And it would
Which
get
wait?
this
You said
hot item off of
which
me.
Duke was gonna buy it as?
This Duke.
Okay,
The
this
Duke of Felling, quote, or like,
Okay,
wink
so you're
by.
saying that you want to construct just out of character, just so I'm clear. You want to
Found it on the black market because of the Thieves Guild.
yeah, and then the Duke of
Bought it,
Felling
and
buys
hey,
it.
this is yours.
Yeah, like
Have
it
it back.
returns it to the king. Okay, as a gift or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. Cool. Yeah. So the Duke of Felling, he thinks him on this, but he definitely like his face shows that he definitely likes to say. He's like, Miles. Well, so here's the thing, Miles. I would never ask you to give up this blade if you did find it through some godly means. But if you wish to do this, if you wish to give it to me to send to the man who will be the king, I certainly could use this for political gain.
If the Duke of Norland is to be the king, I fear this weapon is going to cause more trouble than it is worth.
I do assume that
This-
you're right.
This is going to prove much more beneficial to yourself and much less likely to get me killed.
That seems fair. Yes. In fact, actually, if we are headed for conflict, and if the Duke of Northern becomes the king, what I presume, and if it becomes known that you hold this blade, probably many errant knights or knights of various sub-realms of the kingdom will come in hunt of it. If I take it from you and send it to the king, I'm sure it would help, although in some senses it may cause him to be more suspicious of me. But I could probably work with the situation. Again, though, that is up to you, Miles.
I'm gonna summon the blade, summon its scabbard, put it together, and give it to the Duke.
And he'll stand up by.
Do with it what you wish.
He takes it from
No
you.
longer my problem.
He takes it from you. He's like, "Do you? I will obviously be willing to compensate you for this." And regarding the rumors spreading it to support this, I do believe, perhaps too, if you are even able, perhaps I could send you or someone else at least. I don't think that should have any problems. I could probably work this out with Lady Adrena.
Yeah, I think I'd be able to talk to her, and
Yes.
hopefully she wouldn't ask for too much in return.
Yes, I think we could probably
something
make
like
this
this.
work, and at least have it so that as far as the people of this city know, and if the Duke, soon to be king, sends spies to investigate, all they'll find is what you've told me. We'll be the only ones to know. And if he suspects that I had stolen it, he won't find anything, because it seems that obviously I did not, and it seems that if it was a act of divine intervention, only you all know the truth.
Perhaps the Thieves Guild would take this, clunking the frame of the portrait, as payment for the work. I'm sure they can find somebody that's willing to buy ancient portrait of one of the lords of Aver.
From what I know of Lady Adrena, she is somewhat eccentric as well, as two could probably tell you.
It'd
She
be
would
troublesome
like
if
it.
you were to have this, I imagine.
I'm sure she might consider taking that, at least, wouldn't you say too?
I don't think that she would say no.
Certainly she wouldn't mind
Does
at
she
least being able
flood
to sell it.
paintings?
What?
No, she's just kind of eccentric and like very showy, you know. No, but so the so the Duke is like, he's like, I could give that to her if you wish as part of this plan. Again, so out of character, Perplex, you had in your individual session, didn't you and the Duke talk about how after you found out that Lady Adrena didn't have anything to do with it, and that it was like some rogue members of her guild. I think you had told the Duke that, right? And he had found out. Yeah. So he's like, now that he'll say this. I just had to remember that. But he's like, to you guys, he's like, now that I know that Lady Adrena doesn't harbor any ill will towards me, I don't think we should have any issues constructing this story.
Sounds good to me.
And so one thing, I think up until this point, you guys actually haven't even brought up the sort of physical like letters or pieces of evidence from Theodore that you got in Averton.
Yeah, no, we haven't. But I guess like take those out, give them to the Duke. I don't like hold on to that shit.
I like that we're all shoved onto the edge of the room still, considering there's a tapestry taking up most of it.
Oh yeah. By the way, Mr. Duke man, here.
He's like, oh, you wish for me to have this tapestry?
Say, where's Thurible?
It was occupying our entire bag.
So Thurible arrives accompanied by 2 guards about this point in time, and the Duke tells the guards to take away the tapestry, and they struggle to carry it out of the room.
Not yet.
Oh, and okay, they're like, okay, and they stand outside the room waiting. But the Duke, he kind of acknowledges. He's like, yes, sure, I can put this up in a room somewhere or sell it or something. I'll deal with it. So Thurible's here now. So Thurible arrives with these guards though, about that point in time, and he's like, he looks a little flustered, like he was in the middle of something. But he's like, but when he sees all you, and he's like, oh, you're all here.
And the Duke is also holding a blade of alder.
Yeah, and. It's
Thurible, what do you know of the law of the mainland that was used during the Silicon War?
And he's like
pointing at the tapestry all over the floor.
Yeah. And Thurible is like the law of the.
He really walked into a weird scene.
Yeah,
tapestry on the floor. His lord is carrying the sword that should be in Norland, and there's a portrait of an ancient lord of Aver sitting in the corner.
Yeah, Thurible walks in. When you ask him, he looks around. He's like, What is going on here? The law of the mainland and the... Give me a moment. And he kind of just thinks for a second. He looks at Miles and he's like, the law of the mainland? You mean the hand of the mainland as the centaurs and the halflings and them used to call it?
Precisely.
I know of that term vaguely, but well, as a matter of fact, my grandfather, he fought in that battle, and he points to the tapestry.
Is he on this tapestry?
He looks at it and he's like, I don't think so. He was a soldier, not a wizard like myself. My father was a wizard, as am I. But his father was a warrior, an elven warrior, an elite one.
Do you happen to know any of these people on this tapestry?
And he looks at it and he's like, that I do know rough details of it. My father told me stories of it.
Who's this guy? I say, tapping on the big spooky guy.
The one with the golden hand or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's like, he looks at you and gives you like cocks his head a little bit, and he's like, that is one of the most evil humans to walk this continent. You'll find few who know his name, his true name, as I do. I would rather not speak it unless I must.
Why not?
His name is... To invoke it is to is to bring disrespect to anyone who hears it.
I mean, if that,
Duke, cover your ears.
is that all?
He looks at Nox like he's like, Nox, I mean, my lady Nox. Remembering that you're a knight now, he's like, this man is, his name was cursed for ages, for hundreds of years, until finally it became lost to history because no one wanted to remember it. He killed thousands, hundreds of thousands even. And his war ravaged the Elven realms, the Dwarven realms, and even the lands of the Halflings, newly settled by them in western Seldane. But if you wish to know his name, I will utter it.
It may be useful. If we're hunting down old relics that relate to him. I mean, the centaurs are hoping to reclaim his hand. That's what the Lao of the mainland is.
He nods and he's like, very well. The man's name was Vecna.
Knew it.
Came as a surprise to everyone, I'm sure. But
does the name ring any bells?
Considering it's been cursed for hundreds of years, probably not.
you can make an Arcana or History check. The DC, I'll just tell you, the DC is gonna be like 30. So it's gonna be 30.
Impossible.
I have advantage.
With Bardic Inspiration, maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying.
All right, Miles, think. You're our arcane.
And you definitely have advantage.
Sorcerer.
It's undead. Okay, no.
Wait.
So there's
Wait. I could still get it.
no. There's the
Does
no. Okay.
16 let me know?
No, you don't know who this
I've
is.
specifically studied undeath and stuff.
No, you don't know who this is.
You would have to have nat 20'd and then gotten almost max on the
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, you would have to get a nat 20 plus 7 or 8 on the roll. No, you don't know who this is. Obviously, out of character, you all know who this is.
Yes.
But
We've known who it is as soon
Yes,
as
I
you
know.
mentioned hand.
yes,
Yeah.
obviously,
Obviously.
Still, I thought it'd be fun to
We
mess
were
with
just
you guys.
wondering to what extent it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says
That's
this.
cool, though.
But so Therival, I can't even get across the tone he uses. Therival, he says this with a tone of, despise and like, it'd be. He basically, it's like the tone you would say when you're talking about Hitler, right? He's
Sure.
like this is a name that he hates to even say. Therival, you can tell, especially since it was like his grandfather's generation. It's not even that old for him. Therival is like 700 years old, right? So he's quite old, and it's more recent to him. But so anyways though. But so he says this with a despicable air, sort of like he hates to say the name, but and then he looks around at all of you. None of you recognize it, and he's like, the name is, again, I hate to say it, but perhaps it may aid you in your search, or in whatever. How come you buy this?
By what?
By this tapestry?
It was sealed in the Centaur's temple along with a third of the key to his hand.
So I had assumed that he was here for that whole conversation.
No,
so...
he wasn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
Anna would give him the
Yeah,
quick rundown
just fill
of
him
the
in.
Centaur
Okay.
temple, what they're doing. He'll probably be far more concerned than all of us have been about them getting this hand.
When you finish telling this, he's like, my God, and you
Mother
let
of
them
God.
and you let them take this piece of this key.
We
It
had
was
no
that or
idea
die.
what it was.
You see, I am from the mainland. Elves do not live here natively.
You see, this is the danger of striking information from the records.
I did not know this. The hand of the. I did not know this existed here. I thought that the halflings on the mainland had it somewhere, hidden away. You're telling me that this artifact of such great evil and power is on this island?
The centaurs certainly seem to believe it is.
And the Duke will butt in here too and back you guys up. He's like, the Duke is like Therival. I was taught legends regarding this as well from the halflings of the island. who share much of their history with the centaurs. And Therivel, he's like, his face looks dumbfounded. He's like completely surprised. And Therivel's like, he puts his head in his hands, and he's like, "This is, this." And he
Perhaps
looks.
we should go kill those centaurs and get that key piece.
He looks up to Miles when Miles says this, and he's like, "Miles, you know that book you have?"
Yes, I say, reaching into my bag, or my normal bag, and pulling it out. This book?
And he's like, "Oh, don't bring it out." But yes, that book.
If we're getting macabre, you might as well pull the skull out as well.
So
It's
he's
still in
like,
pieces, Anna. It's very difficult.
so he's like, this artifact, this hand, or the Lao as they call it, as the halflings call it, and the centaurs, this hand is far worse than the book or the skull. Those are things that could affect the fate of this kingdom. But that hand, that is something that could affect the fate of our continent, of our world.
By the by, have you figured out anything to do about the book or the skull? We're going around damn near dying in the woods, carrying them around with us.
He's like... So he'll look at Anna and be like, I have found that something more of the pieces of the skull. Of the book, I've drawn up blanks. But with the skull, I found that previously I had told you all that I thought any lava, any magma of a volcano or something would do, but I actually think that wouldn't do the job. I think you'd actually need to take it to either... I think you'd have to take it to one of two places. I fear that now you could only destroy the skull and its fragments by taking it to a god and having them destroy it, or by taking it to the place where it was enchanted with the magic that holds it and guides it. It was forged in the depths of hell. If you take it to there, if you take it to one of the volcanoes or the lava flows that drip into the depths of hell, perhaps then you could destroy it, and honestly, you could find such a place in hell easily, but I would not wish upon you to have to go there.
Well...
Two of our companions are already there.
Yeah, I was about to say that. And we have a way to get there, I say, patting my bag.
So, all of these other things, the skull, the former owner of said skull, this necromancer or whatever up in the marshes, the cult, are they somehow related to this Vecna?
I don't believe so. I think that, well, Vecna, if their hand is here on this isle, that does not bode well for anyone. Although, I don't think with the hand alone we could see the catastrophe that I fear would happen if someone were able to find the other artifacts needed.
Other artifacts?
In the great battle, the battle of Selthia, in which my grandfather fought, the Vecna was defeated, the great necromancer as they called him, along with the help of that man. And he actually points to the tapestry, to the point, to the same guy I had mentioned to you guys before when you were looking at it, when it was up on the wall. The guy who looked like human, like he was human, but had his features, they looked a little different, and you guys rolled really badly on your
the other dude that had creepy magic on him?
Yeah, but was fighting against Vecna. And so he points to that figure, And I'm sure you guys can guess out of character who that is, right?
I have two guesses. One of them is the Skull Man, and the other one is
Is what?
the Master of Ravens. Those were my two guesses.
Yeah, it is it is Kass, the guy who betrayed Vecna in D&D.
Oh, that guy.
Mm-hmm. Kass the
Yeah.
Bloody-Handed.
I forgot about Vecna's story.
Yeah, he betrayed Vecna in D&D lore, I believe. No, not Kass. It's Kass, like that. Oh, not like that. That's but anyway, so he says, so Therivel points to that guy, and he says, that man, Kass, helped to bring Vecna down, and without his power, he was the lieutenant, the right-hand man of Vecna, but betrayed him, and helped our armies, helped the Elven, the Dwarven, and some of the human armies against him. Yes, some Kass, okay, say Kass, I'm freaking Bloodborne. So he says, that man, and the armies of the world defeated Vecna, but the magic surrounding him was stronger than that of any undead necromancer or lich that roams the world. His magic was so strong that the parts of his body had to be separated limb by limb, part by part, and spread throughout the world. I had thought that the halflings of the mainland had been given the hand of Vecna to guard as an artifact to be never seen again by the light of day, but if what you all say is true, then it was actually given to the centaurs of this island. But the other parts of his body, they are needed as well. I don't, at least some of them. That information is dark and veiled even to me. Perhaps.
So, how did the centaurs forget that this hand is part of the greatest evil in existence and decide to use it?
And
Does
he
the name Kass mean anything?
if
the ultimate evil did, I doubt we'd know his lieutenant.
No, I don't.
I mean, his name probably isn't as cursed.
That's true, actually. If you want, you can make me a history or arcana check with advantage. This definitely deals with undead, so
14.
No, that does not work. Sorry.
All right.
No, you don't know who Kass is. But no, yeah, you don't know who that is. So Therivel, he says that, and by the way, during this whole conversation, the Duke and Ulrich and Ramon are just kind of looking on like, what the heck is going on? They have no idea what is being talked about.
They're like a fucking most interesting high school lecture they've ever seen. It's like, what?
They're just like you guys too. Like they're you guys know a little more than even they do, obviously. But they are just like what is going on here?
Yeah, we've just been casually bumping into horrible eldritch things this whole time, not mentioning it to anybody.
But so Therivel, he's so he tells you, he's like, what was the last thing that was asked? Sorry, I kind of blanked out for a second. You guys were asking like,
why the centaurs want it?
Yeah.
Yeah, why they somehow forgot that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is associated with the
why
ultimate evil.
Okay, yeah, and so
and it would explain the whole ally that they refused to name and how he conveniently told them that now would be a good time to come here. And
so Therivel, he would tell you guys, he's like, he'd actually tell you guys like, he'd be like, I've met centaurs before, but it was hundreds of years ago on the mainland. There are centaurs that exist on the mainland, but they're in the deepest woods in Bordenith, to the south of where I lived most of my life, in Seldane, and in other places. In fact, your friend Elwyn, the one who died, she was from Seldane, as was I, as am I, And long, long ago, centaurs used to live alongside us before humans took up inhabitants there. But it has been, again, since before my birth. It's years and years, centuries ago, since they were a main part of the environment there. But they still do exist in the deepest reaches of the woods on the mainland. But the centaurs of this land, I know little about. I could not tell you why they forgot it. I know that most centaurs they keep oral histories, but do not write down much, and even paintings or tapestries such as this one are mostly made by others as gifts to them. This one I can see is an elven make. As for what they want with it and why they come back for it now, I suppose, if I had to guess, they have some legend regarding it. Maybe they don't even know what it is. Or what its power is, or its legend, the legend around it. Maybe they don't know what that is, and it's just coincidence. But in any case, the fact that they are searching for it, it bodes terrible things if they get it.
Well, we know where the other parts of their key are.
Roughly.
Hopefully we can beat them to it.
And so the Duke will butt in at this point. Duke Mortain will be like, well, in my tutelage, I was always taught that the centaurs, their biggest weakness was that they are disjointed in their different tribes. Rarely are they able to get more than a few tribes together. And they're disorganized, and if that is true, it might take them some time to organize a force capable of finding the other places.
They're also rather prideful.
And the Duke looks at you and he's like, I see, and you had mentioned that they refused to come speak, to even consider being an ally of ours. Looking at Nox, because I think Nox had said that. He's like,
Well, the spokesman, he seemed younger. He seemed willing to consider it, but their elders are certainly not of that mind. When he conferred with them, his mind was made up immediately.
Very well. Well, if these centaurs come to my realm, they will have no quarter, no hospitality given to them unless they come seeking such an arrangement.
I tried to explain the way that this kingdom works, but they wouldn't listen.
If they are searching for such an artifact as Theravel has mentioned, then I fear they may have already made up their minds to be our enemies.
What does this hand even do?
Theravel looks at you, Miles, and he's like, Miles, I know not.
Is the tapestry like still in the room?
Yep, it's there.
What does it do?
We've been forgetting to have the guards take it away. We've been pointing at it and talking.
Yeah.
What does the hand in the tapestry look like it's doing?
It's actually holding out a staff that is pointed at the elven army approaching.
All right, what's happened to the elven army?
I mean, they're fighting the orcs and goblinoids that are fighting against them under the command of Vecna.
I mean, yeah, but like...
This is a artist's rendition, not a photograph.
I mean,
So-
Yeah.
but surely the artist...
Same thing these days.
Surely the artist would know what could happen to the people that the hand was used
Surely he would accurately paint the details of the spells being slung back and forth.
So I guess I would say that what you do see, I do think there is a little bit shown here of maybe the power of this. What you do see on the tapestry is that there are, like, sort of as there were surrounding this figure, Vecna, as you know it is now, there are these like sort of black tendrils of energy surrounding Vecna, and you see these same sort of black tendrils of energy spreading out through the air. Just not too many, but like 4 or 5 of them spreading out and like shooting towards the armies of.
Do they look like my arms of Hadar that I can cast, which are tentacles?
They would.
I would have to imagine not.
They would no. I don't think they would look like tentacles. They would look like. Let me see if I can describe these to you. I can.
Well, they're tendrils.
They would look through. They would look like black tendrils of like smoke almost going through the air. Yeah.
All right, so they're made of smoke, not dark energy. Got it.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell in the artist's rendition, is what I guess I mean. But in any case, though, but that's coming from the hand, but also the staff. So it looks like maybe, this figure Vecna is using a staff to concentrate this or something. Maybe it's not just the hand, but I guess the hand is definitely outlined on the tapestry as the thing that is notable. So, let's see. What was I gonna say? I was just gonna say something.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I think Therivel would tell you guys that he doesn't actually even know what this hand is, this arm is capable of. Just that whatever it is, it would probably spell bad things for the kingdom if the centaurs got a hold of it, and if they are planning on using it against the kingdom. Which it seems he would say, seemingly from what Nox has said, this would not be a good thing.
Did
This rate.
did the tales from my village give any hints to us of what the hand helped him do?
No, yours were probably even more obscure than the stuff that Therivel knows. Like yours, you knew about this battle and like the importance of it, but it seems like your people, as well wanted to just kind of get rid of this name from the history books and stuff.
Yeah. I just didn't know if maybe within those tales there was an end to it, oh well, half the continent was blown the fuck up.
No, they would just say that they would just tell you, this guy was a great evil. Your tales would say that this guy was a great evil, but he was defeated in the end by a valiant force of all types of races from the continent. Including some of your kind, which is why this legend remains, and that they defeated him. But that's all you would really know. You don't know the specifics of what happened afterwards.
Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
Before we know it, we're going to have artifacts to destroy the entire world ferreted away in a bag of holding.
Therivel looks at Anna when she says that. Obviously, is obviously Anna meant that as sort of a joke or not a super serious comment, but Therivel looks at Anna and says, if you all manage to retrieve this hand, I don't even know what I would say to do with it, because...
Oh, I certainly don't plan to retrieve it. Merely to keep anyone else from getting to it.
You don't think a Hellfire Volcano would be enough?
I do not. I fear that nothing less than intervention by the gods would help with this.
Well, if they didn't care the first time, I don't know how we would convince them now.
That seems to be a fair point, and that is why I'm fearful.
The only gods that seem to take any interest in the mortal affairs are lunatics and gamblers.
Yes, it was long ago when gods cared anything for the mortals of this world. And even then, it was only to draw upon them for power. And the Duke will actually butt in here and be like, speaking of that, and he'll actually bring up to Therivel what you guys had talked about, because I don't actually remember if Therivel had ever heard about what went on with the a
little bit here and there.
Yeah,
it's all disjointed.
But Therivel, so
a lot of it gets said through sending spells.
Yeah, Therivel would actually tell you guys what the Duke has already told you. That Therivel actually could not really tell you too much about that. You'd probably have to go to someone at a temple or something, some religious worker, to find out more.
Dude, Anna's so tempted to just be like, hey,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Magic Man, you out there listening? Should I do it?
Gotta call him.
You want to?
Fuck. Dude was
if nothing else, check in on
Sortra
your
or
friends.
Sortro?
Sortro.
Sortro.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's the male equivalent. That's why he has an O at the end.
Yep.
Hey, Sortro. Have you been listening?
You hear a voice in your head, and he's like, I could have been.
Jesus Christ.
Only you hear it. Only Anna hears this.
So you see Anna jump and say Jesus, well, Jesus doesn't exist.
She invents Jesus.
Yeah. You say, Isidore Christ. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. No, I got
Yeah.
you.
Change.
Insert Fantasyland exclamation.
But no, but he so he responds in your head and says, I could have been.
What does that even mean?
Do you
Whatever
ask
you
him
want
that
to
in your
do.
head?
I probably say it out loud because I'm still like, what?
He's like, it means I can make it so.
I just kind of look at Nox and look down and I don't.
Yeah, right?
He answered.
Oh, really? Sortro, if you're there, why don't you show yourself?
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. So actually, I have to really go to the bathroom. So if we could take a quick 2-minute break, then we can continue with this a little more and go like half an hour longer, if that sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just mute myself real quick. You guys can stay unmuted on stream. I'll be right back.
So what you
I
missed,
think-
Dreg, is...
I think Dreg is Sartro.
Maybe. What you
Maybe I
missed, Dreg,
am. Am I a god?
Anna
No.
said to the air, Sortro, have you been
Sorry.
listening? And Sortro said into her head only, I could have been. No one knows what that means. And then,
Yeah, we haven't found out what I could have been.
and then Anna
really
told us that
means.
he answered, and then Nox said, "Oh well, if you're there, fucking show up then."
And Poetry ran away.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Oh shit."
Oh
I'm
shit!
going to the
Should we
bathroom
drop-
so I can think of
This
something.
encounter has made me
That's
have to
fine.
pee.
Should we draw more cards?
I feel
I
like
mean,
Anna might be ready
yeah.
at this point, considering like, oh, hey, a third of a world-ending artifact has been unlocked.
I
Basically.
might go to hell. On the other hand,
Yeah,
I
go to
won't be
hell to
here
destroy this
anymore.
book. Oh, hey, there's also an artifact on this island that could potentially play a part in destroying the fucking continent.
See,
So
I have a dragon
after-
wife. If this continent gets destroyed, I'll just fly to another one.
I'm not exactly sure that's
But-
how that works.
like, so the whole big map that Poetry has made, that's the continent.
I know, but I can fly to the
So
Americas.
when we say continent, more like tectonic plate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like probably more than that.
I'll just fly to
And
the
presumably the assumption is like once the first section goes, it's just going to be like the next one and the next one.
Yeah.
Till a god just decides to like glass the planet and restart.
I don't know if he has an AO-like creature who would be like, no, this isn't happening. Rewind.
The gods collectively might be like, that's a little too much power for some mortals down there.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless said evil boogeyman becomes a god
I mean,
himself. It's like, yo,
Vecna
what's up?
Is kind of a god, though.
Yeah, that's definitely how he ends in D&D lore. That's why the hand and eye of Vecna exists, is because that's all that's left of him of mortal existence or whatever.
Yeah. But he still is.
Like the rest of them became juju godly bullshit.
Yeah.
Those got ripped off or whatever during. I can't remember what exactly
Yeah.
it was, but Vecna's gone through some shit.
He's constantly trying to kill the Raven Queen, take her spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And even then, you get into the whole complications of like different prime material planes, and you see that's how they get around retcons. Oh yeah, that was just a different. That was
That was
different.
on Earth 1, Earth Prime. Different stories.
Well, that's the other thing. Earth also exists in
I know.
canon Forgotten Realms lore, so like the
does.
Greek pantheon and all that, the Egyptian pantheon directly gets involved in the
Yep.
lore. They're just like, oh hey, you abducted a bunch of our people.
Yeah, it
So
was like a long fucking time. The Forgotten Realms got separated off from Earth, and that's why they're forgotten.
I believe the main groups in the Forgotten Realms are Irish and Egyptians that got sent over.
I am back. Sorry about that short break. I just had to really go.
All right. So Nox is calling your boy out.
Yeah. What did Nox? What did Nox say again?
If you're listening, or if you're there, why don't you show yourself?
Okay, let me think about this. I think he is going to, so he's going to respond. You'll hear in your head, Nox. He'll say, "Why should I? Your concerns are no concern of mine."
What, you don't want to play a game?
If you don't have your soul's friends, then I'm not really interested. Or your friend's
I
soul,
don't have
sorry.
my soul's friends.
Your friend's soul, sorry.
So we gotta go get those ones first, huh?
Did you ask him that?
Well, I didn't hear any of this.
That's true.
That's true.
I'm just looking at Nox having strange facial expressions, assumedly.
Definitely.
I'm just going to say out loud, "Hi, Sortro," just because I haven't met him at all.
You don't hear a response in your
What a bitch.
head.
It didn't work, guys.
Well, I guess if you're gonna be a spoils, you could have had a lot of fun.
What did he say?
He wants us to get their souls before he'll come down.
No, so we only have to take a trip to hell, maybe throw a evil tome into a volcano along the way, barter with some demon lords of some sort. No big deal.
It would definitely be a productive trip.
We could figure out why the cultists are working with demons as well.
Possibly.
And you're saying all this out loud to
Yeah, of
everyone?
course.
Yeah,
So
we're actually half insane from anyone else's perspective at this point.
Yeah.
Since two of us have heard voices in our heads and responded to it.
Yeah, so unless you talk specifically to Sortro anymore, he's not gonna just say anything. But Therival will speak up. He'll be like, "You all realize that I would recommend never going to hell. The magicians such as myself, who have the power to go there, seldom do, because there is nothing there but death and chaos."
And our two friends' souls.
Yes, that is true. But my point is, I would be very careful if I were you. There are powers that are more powerful than any normal armies or warriors here.
Oh, don't worry. There are things that I have to do here yet.
And
Unfortunately, it's on the list of things to do.
Well, very well.
But in the meantime, we've got a lot of things here. in the
Besides, you're
city.
telling us that there's a potential world-destroying artifact to be found on this island. Hell doesn't sound so bad right now.
I suppose that's a good point. Yes, there is. I will have to contact any people I can and look for information about this. Although, even then, I'm hesitant. For the power of these artifacts can corrupt even the most the most well-intentioned person.
Sorry, what did he say?
He said he's worried about even telling his other like wizard friends about this stuff.
About sorcerer?
No, about
the hand of Vecna.
Mhm,
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
Because he's like even
No.
yeah, because he's like even though even the hand can basically turn evil, the most well-intentioned person is basically what he's saying. He's afraid of its power.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell them.
Yeah. Okay. And when you say that, he'll nod and be like, "I probably won't."
How about we bring the key into hell?
Well, we have to get it first, so we'll see.
Well, yeah.
Thurible says,
Certainly make it harder to get.
Thurible says to you all, he's like, in reality, I don't know exactly. I don't know much about this key. Again, that is something related to the centaurs of this area, it seems. And I've only lived here a few dozen years.
Maybe the idiots made it an indestructible key. Sure, it's in pieces, but why would you even leave a key to a artifact that's never meant to be touched again?
As a question of curiosity, do you know where the hand itself lies?
No.
Huh. I see.
It was not on any map that we saw.
Only where the key fragments are.
Correct. The centaurs seem to believe they knew where it was.
The key had some sort of magic about it. I would assume that the key itself leads to the hand?
Possibly.
That could be.
It could be that the key is some sort of portal key as well.
Very well. This troubles me, but I will do my own research, although I doubt it will turn anything up that is super useful to you all. And Thurible kind of just looks at you guys. And the Duke kind of looks at you guys like they're like, it seems like they don't know what to say really about this.
Well, I guess we may as well bring it back down to problems that we can solve for now.
And Thurible will then look at you guys and be like, if that's all you need me for, I will return to my study.
Yes. See that the hand doesn't corrupt you.
Oh, by the way, he doesn't look amused by this. And then he's like, oh, by the way, did you ever meet that wizard, Sigrid?
No, he's in Winswell.
Oh, he's in Winswell.
According to his maid.
Well, I've heard, although I've never met the...
I never explained why she was in two houses.
Although I've never met the man, I know he's quite resourceful, and he has quite a reputation in the wizards and magicians of the kingdom, the sorcerers. He'll probably be fine, but he has a little bit of look of worry on his face.
Like, out of character, I'm impressed that a dude faking being a wizard can manage to be a changeling and no one knows. Like, you hang out with people who just fuck around with things that might give them true sight, and you somehow never get found out.
Well,
I need to learn his secrets.
Well, Thurible has never met the guy, and it's, not, I mean, Thurible kind of just knows of him, right? So he doesn't, But yeah, I get what you're saying, though. So I'm trying to think about what the Duke would still be thinking about and ask you guys about.
I'm trying to take it back down to what are we actually doing next session?
So,
we need to get the girl to your keep.
Yeah.
Right, but also there's conspiracizing with the Scorpions.
Yep, that's right.
So meeting with them to get the rumor done, which
Getting
you
them that
already have an
painting.
invitation.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, I assume at this point we can get rid of the tapestry.
I know I want to try to recruit more people.
Okay.
Have we done anything noteworthy since the last time we were around here? I think we've just been covert ops since then.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was the mission.
So yeah, I guess the question then is, what are the other things that you would ask of the Duke or ask from him?
Well, I guess like whatever value that tapestry brings, like I don't know, throw it at the fort or something.
Okay. Yeah,
Provisions.
He
whatever.
would definitely, the Duke would definitely be willing to actually compensate you guys for the work you've done as well as for the tapestry you brought him. He'd be like, sure, I can take care of that for you, like selling it or keeping it for myself, honestly. He's like, it's a fine artifact and relic to hang on to.
By the way, any word from those kobolds?
Excuse me. He would say that that actually yes, when he had sort of sent off Grizzles with his seal and his sort of approval of their activities, that they had gone to the north, to the shore, to sort of to the more dangerous towns there to sort of fight off some stuff there, look for work. But that he
We'll
hasn't
have plenty of work.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he said he actually heard. The Duke says that he actually believes that the kobolds went to Blantsmouth, which is near. Is it right? Oh, right here. He thinks that, as far as he heard, the kobolds went there because there was rumor that there was a goblin attack there. On
Kobold one shot incoming.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, who knows? Maybe they've killed themselves down to a party size by now. But they're all like level 5.
Maybe.
That's what we could do
The
next
Elder
week
is a
on
wizard.
Saturday.
Grizzles is a rogue, obviously. Somebody probably became a fighter.
A fighter, and then like a cleric who became like a shaman thing. I don't know.
No, one of them
no.
has to be a dragon sorcerer.
yeah, that's true. But anyways though, so I guess the Duke would tell you guys. He'd basically be like, if you guys, he would tell you guys that he doesn't have any specific work for you guys right now, but
Don't worry. We
Yeah.
got plenty.
Exactly. He's like he basically says that he knows you guys need to go to Wenswell. You want to look for this wizard, which he can't really help you with. He doesn't know where the guy is. Therivel doesn't either. He says that you guys can go there. He says that he's essentially going to take care of the stuff with the Baron of Snowfeld, but
Okay.
I guess the last thing the Duke would tell you is that he does say that if there is a conflict between the Duke of Aver and the Duke of Norland, soon to be king, he would tell you, the Duke, Mortain would tell you, that if that happens, he expects that the Baron of Snowfeld will probably side with the Duke of Aver.
Well, he should probably be taken care of before that happens.
Yeah. And so, Mortain definitely, he agrees with you. He nods in agreement, sort of. He's like, yes, waiting that long to resolve this issue would probably complicate things.
Yep.
How trustworthy does Anna consider Will?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, how trustworthy does he seem?
Um,
Since my interaction with him was all backstory stuff.
yeah. You never had a reason to mistrust him, but in the end, everyone is out for themselves.
Debating on whether I want to try and hire him to go get one of the key fragments. Or have him hire people, basically.
I mean, they are the closest people who would know about it.
Like, they're within the right region to go after the one.
I mean, they're in Alder's Landing, right?
And they literally don't need to know anything about anything other than the fact that they need to get the special artifact at the center of a temple,
Yeah.
presumably.
Who knows what they'd be looking for?
Yeah, I'd basically just tell them that we need an artifact from there.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, if they have it, the centaurs don't. So even if he betrays you, the centaurs don't have it.
And quite frankly, like, if the encounter we had is any indication, if they're all similarly guarded, we were like a weight class above what you need to even get into the temple and take the stuff. So, yeah.
That fight against the Will-O-Wisp was a little scary until we had a really good first round.
Yeah.
Like we hit, I think, every attack and did max damage rolls almost on every attack.
I also picture, like, NPC adventuring parties would just be, like, 15
Bigger.
people instead of,
Yeah.
like, a tiny group of 4 or 5.
Yeah. That's
Like,
fair.
we're the A team. The B team is
Exactly.
going to be, like, 3 times the size with a support crew.
We are, like, actually incredible people.
Yeah.
We're SEAL Team 6.
Above
People,
average, yeah.
people look at adventurers and are like, you guys are out of your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife's a dragon, so maybe I am out of my mind.
You are out of your mind. We've told you. You're crazy.
But yeah,
Your wife's not a dragon.
from my experience with Will, if I hired him to get a group together to go after this place, specifically to get the key fragment, I could assume that he would get that to me.
You just tell him you're looking for
Yeah.
a magical piece of powder.
You
Say Duke.
you could probably trust him enough. I mean, if you didn't tell him all the details.
Yeah, I'd probably tell him, like, that there should be other stuff there. Give him some, what would sound like a reasonable percentage of the profits that they find there, you know.
Okay. Okay. So you
I have a
tell
bunch
him-
of sending spells to burn, so I'd basically...
Okay, yeah. So which
go
one?
about-
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Say Duke.
And would you tell him about the one near Irwinsville, the southern one?
I'd tell him, yeah, about the southern one.
Okay. Sounds
The
good.
one up north is a little close to some heat.
Yeah, that's true. And so you're saying, Dragery?
You mentioned earlier about providing compensation for Striker. Do you have any enchanted swords?
And he looks at you and he's like, "You mean similar to Striker, a magical weapon?"
Just something that I could use in its place.
The Striker was forged by the most skilled of Gothian forge workers, as were all the blades of Alder, as far as I know, by Gothians brought by the King of Alder, who commissioned them, who knew the ways to enchant magical weapons as such. But I do have weapons that, while they won't have the anti-goblin magics imbued into Striker, I could find you a weapon that has a similar quality of enchantment applied to it.
That would be greatly appreciated.
Yes,
And trust me when I say the enchantment against goblins will not be necessary.
And he nods and he's like, "Well, yes, I'm sure I can find you something. I have family heirlooms that might fit the bill, or I can always I do believe that some of the smiths in town might have such an artifact or a minor such magical weapons stowed away in their private stashes. I can find you something that will do." It's not the rarest thing in the world. I've bought rarer off of the merchants and smiths of this town, of this city.
The only issue that I can see is time.
I'm sure I can
if I'm
find...
not mistaken, I think we were planning on leaving in the morning.
No.
No?
Shit to do in this place. It depends on how fast we get things.
I'm assuming a couple of days. We don't want to bum around too long.
Right. We won't be here too long, but probably not tomorrow.
How long? was
Besides,
the
Anna
last
is
day?
sitting here, not obviously necessarily, but I'm sitting here burning all my spell slots,
yeah.
getting a contract done.
Yeah.
2 has to make that deal with the Scorpions and find out whatever else they want. I'm trying to hire more people so that when I take people to Winswell, I still have people here.
Fair.
The Duke would be
So-
like, he would tell you that it would probably take a couple days, but not too long. You know, his word carries, his name carries a lot of weight in the city.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So, he could probably find it to you in 2 days.
All right.
And obviously it's not
and-
going to cost you anything, you just, because you're helping him politically
Yeah.
a lot more than it's worth, so.
And considering I've entrusted the sword to you, I see no reason to hide it any further. My parents, before my father disappeared, ran Durndale.
Oh shit!
And
What?
my brother, who is now the leader of Durndale, kicked me out of the nobility.
Your brother is it Adam of Durndale?
Adam of Durndale's my father.
Your father? So your brother must be an odd character. I'm blanking. What is your...
I can't remember what my
was it
brother's
like-
name is.
You look old. You look like your father's brother.
Let me see. I have it here in a second. Give me a second.
And then it's just like,
I think
oh,
it's like John.
I think it was like John.
Shocking.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
I didn't know any of these things.
You are so surprised.
Yeah, John.
Like if
So
I
he's
if I
like-
wanted to be looking surprised, I could.
So he's like,
fact,
oh.
I am
You
very
look
Hey,
like
guys.
a man named Surprise.
So he's like, oh, you're right. Adam was the previous count. John is now the ruler. You're
We can go Heimer
so you're the, that makes sense. I believe I had heard of a Miles being the brother of a John.
That's me.
But I just had never put it together as being an option. Such a thing would not be something I would expect. Well, Miles of Durndale, I welcome you as a noble then. Are you... Why, might I ask you why you are here and not with your brother ruling one of
as
the
I
towns in
mentioned,
the area?
he kicked me out of the nobility.
Hmm. I see. Well, you are welcome here.
I still have family back over there in that direction. My wife, I remember the dragon that was mentioned earlier.
He's like, of course.
The dragon.
Yeah. It's like, you, Miles, you seem to lead a strange life.
Stranger than I ever thought.
Well,
Is it really that strange? Considering
Meeting gods, fighting gods, marrying a dragon that you didn't know about until several years later, having a child with said dragon. I've led a very strange life.
the Duke is like, he seems kind of like, he's like, doesn't necessarily seem like he believes it either. But he's like, yes, well, I thought I was strange for marrying an elven woman.
I feel
or a
like
half-elven
Anna would.
woman.
I thought she was human.
Anna's probably thinking to herself after kind of thinking about it, like, I'm not human. No one knows about me.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it really that hard to believe that a dragon is just wandering around? Especially considering what dragons are supposedly able to do.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's,
Like, aren't
So-
dragons just better changelings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, metallic ones at least. So he's like, well, in any case, Miles, I do correspond through letters with your brother occasionally. Although not frequently, but he is a man of power, and I have to secure trade rights for the merchants of my city occasionally, and other such administrative concerns and political concerns. If there's nothing I can do to help you there, I could try.
Don't bother. In fact, I'd prefer if you didn't mention me at all.
Very well. It will not be mentioned.
Though it makes me somewhat worried that my brother might become the Duke of Norland.
I have heard rumors that the current Duke of Norland, Baldry, I have heard rumors that he promised your brother the title of the Duke of Norland if he became the king, if Baldry became the king, as sort of almost a reward in order to keep your brother loyal to him. I don't know if that affects you in any way.
It shouldn't.
But yes, I have heard that as a rumor circulating through the upper circles that perhaps your brother will become the Duke of Norland, a very prestigious position. Although, again, I consider the Duke of Norland an old fool. It wouldn't surprise me if he turned around and made one of his friends or family members, one of his other vassals, the Duke instead. He's not known for being the most trustworthy of rulers, even if he is powerful. Yeah, but so he says that, and he's like, either way, I know not the future, or what it holds.
Oh, you could have the gods take away the tapestry now. I doubt we'll need it.
And he's like, oh, yes, I suppose that's correct. I'll have it taken to a room somewhere.
We've just gotten used to hugging the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
It's
yeah,
natural now.
so the Duke motions to some guards who come in and,
I like to think nobody steps further into the room. We all just stay hugging the wall.
yeah. But so they take away the tapestry, yeah. Well, the Duke looks at you all and he's like, well, I have no further work for you. You have given me the information I need to know regarding the Duke of Aver and his, what it seems to be his advisor, pulling the strings maybe, or having him on it. I do not know, but in any case, perhaps I can leverage in some connections and have him have other allies of mine in the kingdom bring these things to light. I know not, but in any case, if you all have your own work to attend to, I will allow you to do it, and whenever you have run out of leads to follow, you may come back to me, and I can help you.
Oh, before we leave you to whatever business you have, here, and I will reach into my normal bag and give him a stone. A sending stone.
And he's like, you wish to keep in contact with me?
I see no reason not to.
Friendly wink.
Very well. It could be helpful.
Yo, did we ever get the stone back from Tree Dude, or you just constantly pen
It's
pals
still with
Tree
Tree
Man?
Dude.
It's still a tree, dude.
Miles is just gonna walk around with an actual just bag.
He is a
I just-
contacts list.
I just imagine every once in a while they just grab a stone, like, whose was this again?
I have
Hello, who
sending
is this?
stones and
How are
the
you doing?
cloud stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tree was like, oh shit, they're gonna take my stone. I better blend in with the trees again.
Maybe the tree's lonely now. He's got a buddy that'll just
He just
randomly
wants to
talk to him now.
people, yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna call the tree. How are you doing, buddy?
Can't technically the tree call as well?
Yes.
Yep. He
I'm gonna
decides
call the
it.
tree and ask how he's doing.
You should message him every day.
Tree Tree says that he. Let me think about this. He says.
Do
that-
any of you get just like a random mass amount of text saying, "Oh, this is your Uber code"?
No.
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 I used to get that with Twitter, like, oh hey, somebody wants my Twitter account again.
Well, so okay, I've never made an Uber account ever or
Huh.
used Uber ever.
That's kind of weird then.
So somebody's
But I
got your
just-
phone number.
I mean, literally anybody
put it
has
in, yeah.
access to any phone number ever.
That's true.
Weirdly, they're using your phone number to try and make an Uber account.
So
No, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just like a scam where they're like, where if you text back, you know.
So the Duke or no, so the tree, sorry. The tree he had mentioned to you, or so he would message back or send you back a message in your head. He'd be like, what did you ask exactly? You said like, how is he doing?
How you
Yeah.
doing, buddy?
Yeah, he basically would say, oh well, the our friends, the centaurs, have left. And other than that, peaceful.
I like that. By his time reckoning, Miles is going to bother him every 5 minutes from now on.
But yeah, so he says, you know, if they let the centaurs left. Other than that,
I mean, I can't reply to him.
yep. But that's what you get. Well, so anyways,
Don't
also
worry. For him, it'll be like a normal, casual conversation.
so the Duke will
Yeah.
tell you guys. He'll be like, you know, unless you all need anything else from me, we can always get back in contact with each other the next couple of days while you guys are still here. And other than that, I don't have any other he'll tell you guys he doesn't have any specific jobs for you guys right now, but he would appreciate if you guys, if you're going to Wenswell anyways, maybe you can talk to the Earl there on his behalf and offer to do some work for the Earl there. Other than that, he in his opinion, the Duke thinks that the Earl of Wenswell might not be in the best of situations militarily.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, and so he says, like, he's kind of like, honestly, you know, the Earl of Wenswell probably won't be able to help out the Duke of Aver much if the Duke calls upon him. He's got his city surrounded by a bunch of giants and stuff.
It'll be interesting to see if Aver swims well.
Yeah. The Duke
Yeah,
nods to that. He's like,
the hope is that we get there and help more or before Aver can.
but other than that, the Duke, he'll tell you guys, he's like, you know, you have free reign in the city to do what you need to do business-wise. He'll call you if he needs anything else, and you can call him if you need anything else.
Okay.
And go steal some sweet rolls.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's only one bakery that has delicacies like that in this city.
There's one sweet roll in the city.
Yeah, there's other shop. There are multiple shops in Averton because it's a little bit bigger. Fellington only has one such shop. But anyways,
And then I'm going to yell,
I'm gonna go to the
I'm the
magic
Thane,
shop.
and then the guards will leave me alone.
I will take care of that stuff next session because I think this is where we're gonna wrap up here.
I mean, just tell me how much a pair of sending stones is going to
it'll
cost me.
it'll cost you 150 gold for a pair. Here, just
150 gold?
Mhm.
How can I buy more than one?
he has 2 sets.
All right, I'll buy both.
And
love it.
he'll say if you want any more, then he'll have to send you out to fetch them from a place he thinks has some more.
I'll ask him where he thinks they are.
He says that they're probably in the lair of some beast that he knows not what it is. He just knows it's in some lair of some nasty creature a ways away.
I'll ask him where this lair is.
Yeah, it's 2 days to the north along the coast in a coastal cave, a sea cave, you know.
Oh yeah, the one magical item mission that he's been trying to give to all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, though, but that'll be your next session if you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but-
before this
Yep.
ends, like I just want to ask Therival.
Yeah, yeah. If you have
About
any other
this
questions for
cloth?
the Duke of Therival, then
Oh, the
again,
cloth.
you can meet
Like
with
I,
them again.
like I want to just ask Therival.
Oh, about the cloth. Yeah, that's a good question.
yeah. Like I don't want to make it a thing.
He would tell you that he doesn't know much. He would tell you guys this. I don't think he told you this before. He's actually been to hell a few times. He would tell you guys that, you know, when you're study magic as long as he does, you do know how to reach hell. It's just a matter of, do you really want to go there? And he would tell you he's really had no reason to go, but a couple times he did go for very short periods of time. And to him, the symbol there, looks like maybe one of the demon or devil warlord symbols, but other than that, he doesn't know which one it would be or anything. But depending on how much you tell him, he'd probably be able to tell you that that's what it is.
Yeah, I would explain a little bit more
About
like
your
that.
situation, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would say, again, he doesn't know much. That stuff is sort of in a different realm. There are specific... He would actually tell you there are specific people in the kingdom who might be able to tell you. He would actually tell you...
Ask if any of them are elven.
He would say, no, certainly not. In fact, the human that he knew was... And this would be in private, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. He would tell you that the human he knew that knew most of this stuff and probably could have helped the most was actually the missing old Count of Durndale, Miles' dad.
I see.
He would tell you that that actually Adam of Durndale is the man who probably could have helped you the most, but he's missing.
Well, maybe we'll find it.
But that's what Therival would tell you. He'd be like, yeah, he had much more of a specialty with his order that he had. Not many even know about it, but Therival does. And this is in
Out
front
of character, Drake. Didn't you like actually talk to your dad already?
No.
Nope.
No.
He found...
No, I got a letter from him.
He was okay. That was just a letter.
Yep, it was a
I
letter
wasn't sure
from
if
him.
it was like an actual talk through magic or
No, yeah.
person or
Warlocks don't
whatever.
have that spell. I
Yeah.
think.
No, they don't.
So,
Well, I
no,
mean,
yeah.
You know,
I haven't
there's
found him to
clearly
give
ways.
him a sending stone.
Yeah. It's,
And I don't know what his dad does. So
freaking Miles having like a phone book, basically.
His dad's not a warlock, so.
I know.
My dad is a blood hunter.
Yep. He's a blood hunter.
Blue.
He's from an order of blood hunters, which is why Therival actually would tell you that. He's like Adam of Durndale was one of an order that knows much more about fiends. They specialize in that area more than I do, even.
So, with him clearly not being able to be talked to, who would your second suggestion be? If I wanted to talk to somebody, like, today.
Today?
I mean, you do have a friend who knows quite a bit about demons and devils
Yeah.
and fae and undead.
He'd be like,
You're not an elf, though.
That's true.
would you ask specifically
Neither
for
is
an
his father.
elves?
Yeah, but his father was recommended by an elf,
He would be
He's
like,
an elf.
which
He-
is the closest thing.
Therival
that
would
I'm
tell
gonna
you,
get.
he'd be
He
like,
only married an elf.
I'm not talking to the Duke.
he's talking to Therival. Therival's an elf.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So Therival will tell you, he'd tell you that he honestly doesn't really know. This is a very specialized thing. There might be a handful of people in the whole kingdom. Your best bet would probably be in the capital, some people, and even then, those people would probably be not very open to talking about issues like this. He would say he would say that there are actually other blood hunters, people of the order that Adam of Durndale was of. He'd say there are other members of those order, but normally that's not something they share openly.
Gotcha. Are any of them here?
Not that he knows of.
Okay.
They run. He would tell you, him and the blood hunters run in very different circles, right? He runs in more of the arcane study of different spells and stuff, and old tomes of magic, whereas they study more of like, interdimensional beings such as demons, and they specialize in that. So it's somewhat different. That's what Therival will tell you in private. But other than that, I do think we'll end this session. Obviously a lot of roleplay elements here at the end, but next session when we begin, you guys will still be in the city. we'll resolve any little bits of business before you guys head off to Wenswell or wherever you guys will be heading to. And
Oh yeah, there's the thing in Snowfeld too.
yeah, and if you need to get in touch with the Duke or Therivel again, you are free to next session. They don't plan on leaving here for a while. Although I guess the last thing the Duke would tell you while you guys are leaving is that he may, in the next couple of weeks, have to sort of pay homage to the king, the new king, when he's crowned. He might have to go to the coronation ceremony. But other than that, he should be here. And
hey, he can return the sword in person.
Yeah, exactly. He might give that as a gift in honor of the new king being crowned. But in any case, he'll be here for the next couple of days probably. He thinks that Therivel can probably just teleport him and them to there with some preparation. So he'll be in the next couple of days, and that won't be an issue. So next session, that's what we'll pick up to. And I think that'll do it for this session. We're not going to level up just yet. It'll be a little longer. But yeah. Alright, sounds good. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm going to wrap up the stream here. We'll come back next week. We don't have any issues with scheduling next week or anytime soon, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not that I know of.
Alright, sounds good.
What is next Friday?
The
3rd of August.
3rd, okay.
3rd of August.
Yeah, unless you have any issues, we should be good for next week, and I don't think we even have any issues for any weeks I know of, but yeah, sounds good. We'll wrap up the stream here. I'll go ahead and host someone. Not any big deal. But yeah, thanks for playing, guys, and I'm gonna go ahead and mute us, and if you're watching on YouTube in the future, thanks for watching. Did I tell you guys about what I've been doing on YouTube? I don't think I have.
Probably not. No.
Yesterday I actually released a video of a new series that I started about, like, not tips or anything, but like a DM focused video about Dungeons and Dragons. That is sort of like, I'm calling it Lessons Learned, and it's sort of like I'm talking about stuff I've learned from this campaign and our last one. So anyways, it's not anything like super special, but I am I'm trying to do more D&D focused videos on my YouTube channel, so
Nice.
But anyways, though,
Tip 1: don't piss off the players.
but anyways, so that's been fun to start that. But if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.